how many snaps did they run in the 14 personnel?
That's only for us.
100% of the snaps.
Going on, everybody? Welcome into 14P Fantasy. I am your host, Justin Wright. Today, we're talking running backs to sell. And this is not really a one-size-fits-all. If you're rebuilding, 100% sell these players. Not a question. Any running back that is really in the last year of a contract should be moved in a rebuild. But let's just be clear about that. If you are competing, these are guys I'm still okay to move, because guess what? I'd rather move them a year ahead of, them hitting free agency or them potentially declining, depending on some of these guys, and losing all of their value potentially. So with running back specifically, you always want to be at least a year early, or a year early at best, I should say. You are looking to move guys before everybody catches on and it's like, damn, they are trash. And a few of these guys, I think people are already kind of there, but still, I'm going to reiterate, you should probably trade a few of them, even if you're going to get less value than you would have last year, because they are trending in the wrong direction. It is time to cut bait, I think. So we got 4 guys. Before we get into that, check out the Patreon page, guys. Tiered Dynasty rankings, 240 players tiered out for you. Get ready for startup season. It's here. It's ready. Use those rankings to your advantage. We also have our tiered rookie rankings. Those will be changing throughout the offseason, as well as the Dynasty rankings. But check all of that stuff out. Also, at our top tier, we will actually break down a Dynasty team for you, give you some advice, some pointers, some trade targets, stuff like that. So check all of that out as well. Also, while you're here, subscribe to the YouTube channel, guys. We're putting out 3 to 5 Dynasty videos a week right now in the offseason. It'll be way more when we hit redraft season again. So check that out. Subscribe to the channel while you're watching. All right, let's get into it. Number 1 on our list, he's the cover guy. It is Ezekiel Elliott. And if you had traded him last season, you should have, first of all. Like that is the definition of a year early. If you had traded Zeke last season, you would have gotten a whole lot more back. This year, the cat's kind of out of the bag. Zeke is good. He's a great volume play, but he is no longer that absolutely superstar elite running back. I mean, with Tony Pollard, his role continuing to grow, Zeke dealing with a knee injury all season, starting to wear down a little bit. It's becoming kind of clear. So he's going to be 27. He's 26 right now. He'll be 27 going into next season. His touches per game have dropped back-to-back seasons from 2019 to 2020, 2020 to 2021. On top of that, while he was the RB7 this season, he was the RB17 in points per game. That's back-to-back seasons now. He has finished as the RB17 in points per game in PPR leagues. So while he's staying relatively healthy and, helping you week to week, he's not a week winning type of running back. He doesn't have that elite ceiling right now. And I don't know if he gets it back again. He's getting up in age, especially for a running back. 27 is not old, let me be clear. But most running backs, they hit 25, 26. Things kind of start to get away from him in fantasy. So if you can trade Zeke, I'm doing that right away. And we got a couple options for you. One guy I'd be happy to flip him for, and it may be, some people would think it's an undersell. I don't think it is. If I could trade him for Elijah Mitchell, I am all in. Elijah Mitchell was on pace, if you include the playoffs, for 341 opportunities over 16 games. He is, again, only going into a second season. Elijah Mitchell's a great buy. If I could flip Zeke straight for Deontay Johnson. Now, this is more of a, depends on your team need, but I think value-wise, those two are 1-to-1. I honestly you may even need to add to Zeke to get Deontay Johnson, which is a crazy thought, and I wouldn't do it, but I could see someone asking for that. But straight up, I'll make that swap. And then also, if I could trade Zeke for Michael Pittman and a pick, whether that's a second rounder, a late first in, 1 QB leagues, not super flex, I think I'm going to pull the trigger on that all day long. Again, this is not one size fits all. You need to pay attention to what your team needs, but I'm very happy to move Zeke in any of those deals. Moving on to number 2, and this is a guy that I think everybody seems to be kind of cooling on. But I guarantee you there's going to be somebody in your league that is going to try to buy low on Miles Sanders. It's going to happen. And I'm going to let them. I kind of was off Miles Sanders going into last season, traded him away in every dynasty league, and I think it's the right call. He's on the final year of his contract. He has never been a top 15 running back in terms of points per game. He was 66th in points per opportunity, so just insanely inefficient. And the Eagles' offense just isn't very good. I mean, 0 touchdowns on the season, in and out of the lineup, banged up, missing games, leaving games early. It was just a bad year for Miles Sanders, but I don't see it getting a whole lot better in terms of the offense itself. Maybe they move on from Jalen Hurts. That's fine. If they pivot away from him, they could go away from such a run-heavy attack because they led the NFL in rushing this year, in rushing attempts. So either you stick with Jalen Hurts, where he steals a bunch of red zone work. They don't really utilize Miles Sanders inside the 20, or you get a new quarterback and they go away from the run game between the 20s. So either way, I think he's trending in the wrong direction. He's probably not getting a second contract. He's played 12 games each of the last 2 seasons. The Eagles don't love that. I think it's just time to move on. You got to move on from Miles Sanders. So when you're looking at trade deals, if I could flip him for a late first, I'm talking 110 to 112, I think is realistic. If you can get higher, obviously pull the trigger, but I don't think you do. You may have to give up Sanders plus to get a Brandon Ayuk. Maybe you can get a 1-for-1 deal done there. I'm going to pull the trigger on that. And then the last one here, if I could trade him, and people may think this is gross because A.J. Dillon's going into year 3, but if I could flip Sanders for A.J. Dillon, I'm going to do that. Again, it gives you potentially an extra season of A.J. Dillon where Miles Sanders hits that weird, ambiguous, he's a free agent, but who knows what his workload's going to be year to year and where he's playing. It's not ideal. I don't think he's great enough to warrant a monster contract or really a workhorse role. So I think we've probably seen the best of Miles Sanders. Maybe he redeems himself in 2022, but either way, he's hitting free agency. I want him off my roster. Next on the list, we have Damien Harris. And Damien Harris is different than Miles Sanders, and I am a huge Damien Harris fan. I think he is extremely talented. However, with the way the Patriots run that organization and Damien Harris being in his final year of his contract, it is unlikely we see him back in 2023. So this is one you are just trying to get ahead of the curve. I don't want to take the gamble and say, man, if Damien Harris, if he resigns, great, I have a locked-in RB2, because you would. I don't know if he does, though, and that's not a gamble I'm willing to take, because if he hits free agency and is out of that New England system, who knows? Again, he's a guy that almost led the NFL in rushing touchdowns this year, and he's probably not going to get that kind of dedicated work in another offense. So the whole reason for moving Damien Harris is it's a gamble to see if he returns. They typically draft these guys 3rd, 4th round, sit him for 2 years, play him on the final 2 of their rookie deal, and then they have another guy coming up the ranks. And that's exactly what they have right now in Ramondre Stevenson. So it makes it really tough to trust Harris past this season. This is, the example of selling a year early before he hits that wall. Now, honestly, you probably can't get a ton back. Personally, I want him over Miles Sanders. I don't think many people do. I am happy to trade those guys or even get Damien Harris plus for Miles Sanders and then flip Damien Harris. But, I mean, when you're looking at deals you can get done here, Darnell Mooney in a late second is a deal I've seen actually happen for Damien Harris. And if I am not competing, I don't need a running back, I'll gladly take the shot on Mooney and another rookie, hopefully try to draft another late round running back in the second, avoid those late round wide receivers, and, try to hit gold. Another one, and this one you may or may not be able to get done. It just depends on the owner. Michael Carter, I've seen them swapped for a guy that is looking for more immediate production in Damien Harris, because Michael Carter is good, but his role is still very unknown going into next season. He's a screaming buy for me, but I get some hesitancy. So Damien Harris is one that it could go a couple of ways. You just got to gauge out and find one owner, a contending team ideally, that is looking for a running back and, flip him for pieces that are going to have, guaranteed value or better value in 2023 and beyond. All right, last guy on the list here, I have Josh Jacobs. I am so done with Josh Jacobs. He's only 23, going to be 24, obviously. That's how age works. And he is an extremely high floor player. doesn't miss a lot of time, gets nicked up, but continues to play. And he's probably going to finish as a high-end RB2 next year. But now with Mike Mayock out in Las Vegas, Josh Jacobs, it's extremely unlikely his fifth-year option gets picked up. And that is the huge piece of this. Again, him, Harris, and Sanders all are going to hit free agency. And could Josh Jacobs have, middling RB2 value moving on? Absolutely. But I just don't think he's all that good, to be honest. I mean, he's fine, but he's not a first-round running back like he was drafted to be. He's a fine receiver. He's a fine runner. There's not a lot else to say. And there's just so many questions. With the new GM, you could easily see Derek Carr traded. You could see Josh Jacobs even potentially cut. Granted, that's a outlandish scenario, but he's only like a $3 million cap hit. You could see him traded even. A new regime coming in means there is no loyalty to any of these guys. Running backs, usually the first to go, especially if they're not an elite option. So keep an eye out for Josh Jacobs. And if he goes somewhere else, it's not a guarantee he is seeing crazy work. And really what we've seen is he needs a lot of volume to hit his floor and then potentially break 20 points. He did that once this season between weeks 1 and 17, the fantasy relevant weeks. So it's just really gross for Josh Jacobs right now. Currently, he's valued higher than Sanders and Damien Harris. I think he should be. Again, he's a locked-in mid-level RB2, but I don't know. I kind of want out from underneath him just in case, shit hits the fan this year. I think you can probably flip him straight for Michael Pittman. Again, Pittman is a guy I am targeting in every league. He is a huge breakout candidate for me. I've seen him flip for Rashad Bateman, for Jerry Jeudy. And a trade I'd love, it kind of goes back to the Zeke deal. If you can trade Josh Jacobs for Elijah Mitchell straight up, you most likely can't. You probably have to add to Jacobs to get Mitchell. I'm going to do that as well. Again, Mitchell's the guy there. I will take the chance that they don't go all in on another running back with the way they have been feeding Mitchell. So keep an eye on that. But Josh Jacobs, I'm out on. Move on from him. Again, he will be fine in 2022 most likely. You want to be a year early on running backs where everybody is like, oh, damn, it's bad. You don't want to be that guy kind of left holding the bag there. All right, guys, that is all I have. Again, the Patreon page, you got 240 plus players ranked in Dynasty, tiered positionally, as well as tiered rookie rankings. We'll break down a Dynasty team for you. For as little as $2, guys, go check out the Patreon page at 14 Personnel. Subscribe to this YouTube channel for 3 to 5 Dynasty videos a week, plus a bunch of stuff coming in the redraft season. All right, guys, as always, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
How many snaps did they run in the 14 personnel?
That's only for us.
100% of the snaps.